There was me and a couple of coworkers, and we sat around saying, we want to solve a problem together. We're good at our jobs, and we want to see if we can, slave away at our own dreams instead of someone else's.
What's happening, softwarepreneurs? Welcome back to Swattage, the Software Innovation Lab. If you're new here, my name is Dale Richards. I'm a software innovator from Salt Lake City, Utah, and I love making software that changes the world. I'm building a SaaS product from concept to cash, and I'm taking you with me for the ride. If you want to change the world, build apps, grow your SaaS business, and make money doing cool software entrepreneur-related stuff, start now by subscribing and hitting the bell.
We came up with an idea, just working on it part-time, and we quickly realized, within like a month or so, we realized it was a terrible idea. It was a great idea, but it just wasn't the right, our concept of it wasn't going to be a good implementation, a good way to achieve that goal. So we moved on, and we said, well, what else should we do?
How did you realize that? How did you realize that it wasn't the right product for you? Like, why weren't you going to be able to execute on that?
So the product was selling date ideas.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so to couples, right? So like, you pay $1 or something, and you get, hey, here's you go to this restaurant, do this activity, go get this treat, like, build the experience for you, because as married individuals, we realize like that becomes a pain point for us, is trying to figure out where to go, and it ends up being, the same 5 places every time, right? And Walmart, walking around Walmart for no reason is one of them, right? And so anyway, we realized that it wasn't, we didn't have a good way to monetize that, because while we could get users to pay us like $1 a month or something, the cost per acquisition was really high. So to get people interested in this to begin with, you need a significant amount of marketing investment.
So like the business model itself was kind of like skimopolis, and you couldn't make it work.
Yeah, we could if we were all millionaires, independently wealthy.
Did you do any kind of user validation, user research validation?
Yep. Yeah, we talked to several individuals. We didn't do like surveys, but we bounced the idea off of people, and it seemed like a good one, so we tried it. After about a month or so, we decided we need to do something else instead. And
pretty short time.
Is very, very short. That's one of the things I like about the group I'm working with is if something's not working, we either come up with a way to make it work or we move on. We don't dilly-dally very often. So we decided, there's another pain point we have, and that's talking to government. One of our partners said, he was frustrated because there was, a golf course that was being, redone as like a park, and then a whole bunch of it was going to some private estate, and he was really frustrated about it. So he reaches out to his local leaders, and he never hears back from them. And the project moves forward, and he never feels like his voice is heard. So we said, yeah, we think we can solve that, but before we do that, let's run some surveys. So we knocked, close to 1,000 doors in Utah of surveys. So the data was overwhelming. People didn't know anything about what was going on in local government. They didn't know how their representatives were performing. They want to be heard. They are, and we even included like, here's a bunch of features that we see like cities giving their residents already, and here's the stuff we're thinking of, and so we were able to prioritize that list of features based on that data, and we took all this data, built a really cool presentation, and took it to a city, and we had city council and the mayor were all on board, and then the city manager yelled at us and kicked us out.
Why? What happened?
He said it was a procurement issue, meaning we're going to have to pay for someone to manage this, and that means I have to look at it first. And he basically stonewalled it, and we haven't made any progress with them since. Like the amount of work that goes into local government is astounding. Those people work hard, and you don't really understand that until you're sitting next to them. But there's also an element of trying to not give themselves too much work, and that is where I think things can get a little dicey.
So you think that there was a problem there of potentially this was going to create too much work, or kind of be a burden, not a blessing
for city staff?
Right. Okay.
Yeah, and that's a persona that, like, we talk to so many representatives, we talk to so many citizens, we didn't talk to city staff, and that was a big eye opener for us. So we get shut down there, but we're actually pretty excited still, because if it weren't for that one person, we would have had our first sale like before building a product, which is a really good sign. So we went forward with our data and built a tool, and then we went to a different city and we said, we'd like you to use this for free just so we can make sure we're building it the way we need to build it. And they agreed to it, and that was about a year ago. Since then, the first 3 months, we started getting really good data back, really high usage, really high positive feedback, and the numbers were shaping up the way we wanted them to. And so we said, I think we're ready to try and sell this again. So we took that data and we started talking to cities, and I had 2 cities that were super interested. In fact, we were gonna sit down and formalize a contract in our next meeting, kind of a thing, and they were just gonna run it through the chain of command and get it all going. And then March 2020 happened.
Oh.
And they said, we have no idea what our budgets are gonna be anymore. We can't do this.
So where did that leave you?
So that left me and my partners kind of in a low point, really low point. I don't know how much work they were doing, if any, for the next several months, but I did bare minimum. If anybody asked me to do something, I would do it. They weren't asking, but we had one city that we were supporting, so we were helping them, and I was spending my time helping them if they needed anything, but I didn't do much outside of that. It was just a really low point. We talk about fighting through things and overcoming with sheer force and will. And the truth is it's a roller coaster, and it's ups and downs. And in the ability to be okay with getting back up after a low point, and being willing to accept that in the future you may run into more low points like that, I think is valuable. So that happens, and after somewhere in the 2 or 3 month mark, I was like, well, I've got to do something. So I reached out to another municipality and said, hey, do you want to use this for free? And they said, yeah. So we got 2 people, 2 municipalities using it for free, and that's great. And there were some strategic objectives there too, but ultimately we've worked with these, with the first municipality for almost a year before a different municipality says, yeah, we'll buy this, and then another one, yeah, we'll buy this. So it's it's taken quite a while, a lot. It's basically taken twice as long to get half as far as we expected.
Probably the rule of thumb. What happened with all of the years that you spent with the whole police app? How does that play into this? Is it the same set of partners? Is it a different set of partners?
It's a different set of partners. So the police app was kind of my first foray into product management, and I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't do any research. I just said, okay, what do we want to build? Okay, I'm going to work with the team and let's build that. And I didn't understand, how valuable it was to have UX designers for a product. I was very young, and that kind of fell apart because we kind of realized that deficit, right? The app didn't look the way it needed to look. And therefore I didn't know where to take it next and at the time. And so several years go by, and I'm, fast forward to this time where I'm talking to these two other coworkers, and they're like, hey, we want to do this app idea and fix this communication problem. And I go, that's a good idea, right? And the police app and the municipality app are fundamentally different, in that the police app is only for a portion of the municipality. And in doing so, we are reducing its ability to impact more people's lives in a positive way, therefore reducing retention rates. So retention is really, really important, especially in apps. Engagement, keep having people coming back and using it over and over again. And with the police app, it was anytime the police have a problem, they'll let you know, kind of a thing. Think of Amber Alert, but localized. It's a great tool, but how often do you get it? A couple times a year, maybe 5 times a year, and that's for the whole state, right? So there's some fundamental problems with that. It wouldn't work so well out here, but it might work better maybe inner city LA or New York, right? But so there's some major user adoption and engagement problems there. So this tool is more encompassing, and it piggybacks off of a structure that already exists for people to adopt it. So we've spent hardly any money on advertising, and we've already got amazing adoption rates. So that's another really good sign, right? That we can turn around and duplicate that. And one of the reasons we do that is because we rely on the city or the county or the state to say, hey, we're now using this thing. We're now doing this thing, right? And we can piggyback off of that and spend some of our marketing dollars so that residents see more of what the municipality is saying, not just some random company saying it.
So you weren't doing that with the police app. You weren't having the police department promote your previous app to the constituents.
We actually never got to any sort of pilot launch with that one.
Okay. And did that all happen before you even got to the dating app idea? So you went through this entire life cycle with different partners before, and iterated and failed, and then this is a completely different group of people, different. So this is like app number 3.
Yes.
Okay. What learnings, if any, did you take from the police app experience into the municipality app experience that benefited you?
One of the things it has done is it's broadened my vision for the product. So when we got together and said we need to create something where residents can share their opinions with cities and counties and states, I thought to myself, oh, it can do more than that. Hmm. And so my belief in the product is much higher than it otherwise would be, because I realize how much more we can take it, how much further we can go.
Tell me about so you talked about the market and about your validation of the concept and taking it to these municipalities. What about before that, like developing the feature set, aligning the feature set to what the municipality actually needed, validating those features, designing those features, and kind of actually building the app to the user needs? What was your experience like doing that?
So we have 3 different user types, major buckets here. There's the representative who wants FaceTime with their constituents. The second persona is the city staff, and they need to spend less time doing menial tasks and more time doing meaningful tasks. So, and then the third group of course, is the residents, who just, they want to be heard and they want to know what's going on, right? When there's a fire breaks out somewhere, everyone's jumping on social media and hoping they have the most accurate, up-to-date information, competing with cat videos and other things, and it's just a kind of a conglomerate mess. So how do we arrive at all these different solutions or experiences for each of these personas? The representative, we first started talking to representatives. We said, one of our partners used to live next to the mayor of this town. Let's talk to him and see what he has to say. So because there was a familial connection there with being neighbors, he would chat with him and ask him, well, what do you guys need? What are the problems, right? And so we really just started with one user, and then we built from there, and we said, okay, well, now what do residents need? And that's where we started knocking all those doors. And then of course, in the process of knocking all those doors, we started talking to other municipalities as well. But we spent the vast majority of our early research time with that first persona, the representative, and figuring out what they need. It wasn't until we had a pilot city that we started taking a hard look at what the city staff needs. And one of the first things the city manager brought up, and bear in mind the city manager is the one that's actually running everything on a day-to-day basis. The city manager said, I'd love a way to get the word out there that we're working on this project. I don't need their feedback on it because it's already underway. It's something that we don't need feedback on, but I'd love for them to have that information still, right? We want to be open and transparent and help them understand what's going on and why this road is taking so long, and why the park is been 2 years under construction and still looks only half done, or there's reasons for all of the things we see around us, right? And they want to communicate that. So that was one of the major features that we put in from that experience.
Why can't they just use like a municipality Facebook page to do all that?
So number one problem is you're competing with information that is not related to the field. So like I mentioned earlier, cat videos. You're competing with cat videos and with politically charged conversations and what have you, right? And the major problem on the city staff and representative side is that it's an open forum. And in an open forum environment, there are certain laws that they have to abide by. So if they ever engage on social media in an open forum environment, because they really do want to help, right? But if they engage and you've got 5 or 10 people who are the loud minority, and they jump on and post 50 posts each, it looks like the whole town is mad at you about this thing when really they're not. Is that clear?
So then how does your app avoid that problem? Because it's not an open forum?
It's not an open forum, correct. So when people provide their feedback, it doesn't go to everybody, it goes to the city.
Oh, I see. So that makes sense. So you're really ensuring that channel of communication is more focused and direct, and it's not a discussion, it's just a feedback submission.
Yeah, it's one step closer to a one-on-one conversation.
So you started with this mayor, you went around and knocked doors, you got feedback from the citizens, then you got into how did you get into that first city as a pilot test to get the staff's feedback?
So I reached out to the city once or twice, and I hadn't heard back. And so I had moved on to other cities, but people said, "Oh, you got to try this city. Like this seems like something they'd be totally into, And I couldn't seem to get through to them. And so we were talking about our struggles with different people in the political sphere, and one of them said, I know the mayor in this city would love to take a look at this. And we said, well, that's awesome. We've been trying to talk to them. And so he set up the meeting for us and said, hey, Mayor so-and-so, I want you to talk to these guys. And the mayor was like, yeah, no problem. That'd be great. So there's some major flaws in the current communication system with government. This is something that they want and like, but I couldn't get to them. And so yeah, we did it by finding someone that knew them.
It's so ironic that you couldn't get in to talk to the government because you wanted to pitch them on an app so that people could get in and talk to their governments.
Yep.
Okay, that's great. So that's one kind of obstacle you had to overcome, was actually getting into this user persona to get them to actually use the app. What other roadblocks did you face, and how did you overcome them?
It feels like that's the biggest part of the story. Let me think.
Is getting to the user.
Well, is overcoming roadblocks.
Right.
Let's see. Step 1, limited funding for marketing. We some money out of our own pockets, right? Because this is a pilot city, and we want the pilot city to have successful numbers, right? So we've got to figure out how to do that without putting our families on the street. So we didn't do mailers, which I think is probably the better approach. We ended up doing door hangers. We printed out door hangers, and I probably covered about half the city myself, hanging door hangers on every door, and it was great exercise. But there was like 2 days of recovery after that where I couldn't walk very well. And when that happened, we were seeing, like 4 new users a day-ish. Nothing too fancy, but
over how many days?
Almost, I don't know. Let me think. For months, right? But then we connected with a social media person at the organization and said, hey, we have this topic being talked about right now on the app. Can you post about it? And that brought, 10 to 20 new users each time they did that. And then we, found some topics that people were really passionate about, and we saw, like 400 and 500 new users jump on, right? And so,
in a day?
Over the course of like 3 days, yeah.
Over the course of a post, basically.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so some of our challenges though were, so we were at first writing the content for them and just having them approve it. And when we hit on one particularly interesting topic for people, the city council got wind of it, and they didn't necessarily, not all of them liked it, and it wasn't reflecting all the work that they put in before, kind of concerns, and so one of the things I've had to do is do what some of my leadership books have been telling me to do, and just shut up and take it. Like, that's not really what they say to do, but the concept of, like, it doesn't matter if you're right or wrong, make sure the other person is okay. With this pilot city, this fledgling relationship we have with them was a little bit in jeopardy, right? And so I said, well, I'm really sorry, like, what can we do? And so we set up a better process for approvals, and they started to take on more of the responsibility in writing the content, which is actually what we want, and so forth. So it worked out really well, and I think a lot of that has to do with being fluid with your own expectations.
What other advice would you give to someone who's trying to get an app to market?
Read voraciously.
Why?
Because as you read, it's easier to be in a safe space. So you don't have someone in your face telling you you're doing something wrong. But as you read other people's experiences or watch videos of other people's experiences, you start to realize, here are some parallels, and here are some similarities, and here's how to be a better leader, so that when I'm acting like a customer service manager, I'm doing a better job of it with this fledgling pilot city, right? So reading has expanded my own understanding and ability to weather the highs and lows, because you do have to weather the highs. I don't know if you've ever experienced this, where things seem so great for a moment that you're unstoppable or whatever, and I have almost just as much difficulty in those incredibly high moments to sit down and get what I need done. So understanding yourself, which has helped me a lot. As I've read books, I've done a better job of understanding who I am and what I need to do. I've adapted my own schedule and system to stay most productive and happy, right? I have a pull-up bar that's right next to my desk, and every so often while I'm in the middle of a project, I realize I'm not getting very far, and it's probably because my brain needs to be stimulated a little more, right? So then I do some pull-ups, and then I get back to work. So everybody's gonna have their own way of accomplishing that. Surround yourself with experts. The partners that I have are incredibly skilled and very thoughtful. So I kind of hit, in my mind, the jackpot there. But as we were going and as we were supporting 2 different municipalities, it was also my job to do the sales. And I said, you guys, I don't know how much of this I can do. Like either our content struggles and our sales start to look promising, our sales funnel, or the other way around, right? I didn't seem to be able to manage both. And I think that's just being able to and willing to look and measure, without bias, what's happening, helps with that. And having well thought out partners is honestly the way that happened. And so that's when we realized, we need to bring someone on to just do sales, someone who has, and we kind of look back to this first experience with the first municipality, our pilot city. We couldn't get through to them until we talked to someone that knew them. So we said, well, if we're trying to prove this concept, let's prove it and make sure it works by finding someone who does know people in different municipalities. And so we brought on someone who's younger and hungry, who has a lot of relationships with people in the area. And surprisingly, that's not even how we got our first sales, but it revitalized the team in ways that we wouldn't have seen and probably would have quit at this point.
Join us again. Videos are published every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 12 noon Mountain Time.